You're listening to Wild Things and Wild Places, a Muley Fanatic Foundation podcast that aims to discuss issues and efforts related to the Muley Fanatic Foundation mission, the conservation of mule deer, furthering the sport of hunting, and sound wildlife management.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley fanatic.
It's time for Wild Things and Wild Places. And here's your guide, Joshua Corsi.
Welcome to Wild Things and Wild Places. Talk about the furthering the sport of hunting, part of the Muley Fanatic Foundation mission statement. Fresh out of the field from Nevada, I've got Grayson, Albright here. Hello. Hey, welcome to Wild Things and Wild Places.
Thank you.
When we talk about furthering the sport of hunting as part of our mission statement, you as the next generation, how old are you, Grayson?
12.
12 years old. You are the epitome of what we're talking about. That's what it means. Further the sport of hunting. Pass it on. Have the next heritage step up and say, I'm a hunter. Damn proud of it. I kill stuff and I eat it, right?
Yep.
All right. So specifically to you, you're from Nevada. You come to Wyoming as part of our program, Putting the U in Hunt, a special program that we've talked about several times. It's a great program. But you were the recipient of this year of an elk hunt in Area 100. You and your dad and your uncle, Stephen and Marty. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. But I want to hear from you, Gray, first. We'll get to Dad and Uncle in a minute. You drive to Wyoming. You're going on an elk hunt. What's going through your head?
What if I miss? Yeah.
Yeah? That was a big concern?
Yeah.
So what are you shooting?
Elk.
No, what kind of rifle?
What is it?
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. You can phone a friend. You can have Dad help.
Say it's a 6.5
6.5.
Come on.
by
All right.
Gunworks.
Ooh, by Gunworks. So it's dialed in fancy. It's like bougie.
Is it loud?
No.
Why is it not loud?
It's
What's on the end of it?
signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little can on there. Huh? All right, so did you spend a lot of time at the range?
Not a lot, but
Some, yeah. All right, so you were a little nervous about, okay, I'm going to see this big critter. I've seen pictures of elk all over. When I find one, I hope I can get it done. All right, so let's talk about the hunt. You get out there. You meet up with Rowdy, Blake, and Troy from our 10 Country chapter.
Yeah.
Good dudes, right? You give them the thumbs up?
Yeah.
All right. You met Anthony at the rock shop?
Yep.
Pretty cool guy, huh? That's a cool place, isn't it?
That's a great place.
Yeah.
I'll go back and bring my wife and stay their place.
He has done an amazing job with that
Beautiful.
place. Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, so Gray, I want to make sure we stay on task. We're talking about your hunt. You get to the rock shop. You guys have dinner. The next morning, you guys are ready to roll out. Are you starting to get a little butterflies, or are you just full of excitement now?
A little shy.
A little bit of everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen a picture Rowdy and Blake sent me before you killed your elk. You killed a coyote. You whacked a dog.
Yeah.
Tell me about the coyote.
The coyote, we just set everything up, but then I missed like one time, and then it was like 200, 400 yards away, and then I just his stomach, but then we couldn't take him with us. That's all of his guts and everything.
Yeah, you get
flying.
gut shot at him. He's
Yeah.
no fun. That stinky dog, he ain't no fun to put in the truck, is it? It wasn't riding in Dad's truck? Is that how that went? All right, so that wasn't expected, but when you
Yeah.
see a coyote, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a predator for a reason. There's no season on them for a reason.
Yeah.
Shoot on sight, 365 days a year. All right, so you get that out of the way. I mean, you had like this magical hour and a half window, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what happens after the coyote?
Then after the coyote, we go to Red Sand Dune, and then we saw an elk just laying there, and then we set it up, and then Blake, was it that used the bugle?
No.
Troy?
And how far away was that elk?
1,000 yards, and then when he used the bugle, he just came running in, screaming his head off 60 yards, and
Yeah, he came to 60 yards, huh?
yeah.
He didn't know you had a Gunworks 6.5 Creedmoor, huh? How cool was it when he was screaming? You got to tell me about that, because
Yeah.
isn't that amazing about
Yeah.
elk? You get something that far away that you're just barely able to see with glass, and then you bugle him in, and he just comes a running. Does that not put the hair on the back of your neck standing up straight up? It does for me.
Yeah, at that time, they just don't have any brains.
Yeah, they're not thinking with their brain, are they? Oh, that's awesome, Gray. All right, so he comes in 60 yards. At this point, were you like, whoa, stop, buddy?
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah, he came really close, but then we just keep moving a bunch of times, and then we just setting up like 5 times, just moving, trying to find a spot to just shoot him, and then I shot his, what is it called?
Your lungs?
Lungs, and then he was just running, and then we thought we had to just go find a spot and just set everything up again, but then it just fell, and then we were just waiting for 30 minutes, and then we just went out.
Wow. Incredible, huh? What was your first reaction when you walked up on him?
Smells.
Smells? Yeah. Yeah. What would you think of his antlers?
It's big.
I've seen some great pictures of you guys in the field with that. Rowdy and Blake and Troy, they did a good job getting some good pictures, and those will be pictures you'll be able to, you'll hang on to those forever. That's a great animal. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because we got Dad and Uncle here, and I do want to talk a little bit specifically. Dad and I have had some communications. This now spans almost a year, and it's this program, Putting the U in Hunt. We've talked about it a bunch. It's a program that survives by word of mouth. But when another life member of ours, who was my neighbor, who's my dentist, Brian Birch, him and his wife had said, "Hey, we have some friends in Nevada. This program would maybe be a good fit. We'd like to give you Dad's information. You guys connect." So, Stephen, you and I started this conversation a long time ago. We're glad it finally was able to happen. There is a process here, but how was the program presented to you? How did you first hear about it, and what was that like?
Bryant's wife and me have been friends our whole lives. I've known her, and she called me and told me about the program, and I thought it sounded fantastic and almost like a dream. Like maybe we could talk and sign up, and maybe 5 or 10 years from now we'd actually get something done. But she gave me your number. We called, and I think Grayson was in the truck with me, and we called and connected with you. And I think your first question was, do you want a deer or an elk? So I asked Grayson, and I think his answer was either, because he's normally a pretty easygoing kid. And you're like, okay, let's do it. We'll do an elk. And that was like yeah, that's just what you guys do here. And I thought, I don't know if he's kidding or not. I mean, you wait, and I've done it. I've gotten my other kids out in the field just recently and had some success. And I thought I'd never have that chance with Grayson. He's not a kid that I can hike up a mountain. He's been in the hospital more than he's not. And just a kid that I didn't think we'd be chasing elk. So for you guys to have a program that puts stuff like this together and makes it happen and get these kids out it's remarkable. It's the kind of program like I can get behind. There's a lot of groups in town that ask you to come and be a part of them, and this is the kind of one that truly changes lives. I appreciate all you guys have done.
I appreciate you saying that. It is a program that is hard for us to promote. It's a program that there's not a database or a list that we can go to solicit applicants. It truly survives by word of mouth. And so I guess, Gray, the challenge for you now being a participant in this program is that makes you an ambassador, if you will, that if you know of someone that would enjoy the same opportunity you had, we just appreciate it if you pay it forward and spread the word, have them contact us, and we can take it from there and make it just as simple and seamless as it was for you. But since you've been in the program and you're fresh out of the field, you're on your way back home to Nevada, it's awesome that you got to spend this time in the field with Dad and to create these memories. And Dad, what does Nevada have, a 7-year wait after you get an elk tag before you can get another one?
Yeah, and you're going to spend 15 or 20 years waiting for one.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. No, this was cool. And you got to bring Uncle Marty along. So how did that come? Uncle Marty, how were you part of this?
I got a phone call one day from Grayson, and him and Steve told me about what they were doing, and Grayson asked if I wanted to go spend a week elk hunting with him. And that's a no-brainer.
That's a
right?
no-brainer, huh?
I haven't spent a lot of time hunting since I was a kid, and that said, what a better opportunity to go hunt with some elk and watch one of my favorite kids in the whole world get something done.
Yeah. And the actual hunt itself, seeing that bull come screaming in, what were you and Dad thinking? What were you guys thinking?
For me, that was an experience of a lifetime, because all the time growing up, I never really got to go on a lot of elk hunts with my dad. By the time I was old enough, we moved to Nevada, and Dad stopped hunting. And so to watch them bugle that bull and watch him stand straight up and run in, I was terrified, stand up on the back of my neck. I was so excited, trying not to scream and be giddy because I was videoing him shooting that, and it was cool. It's like I texted my wife and said, we got to get the rest of the boys through hunter safety, and we're gonna put it in here in Utah.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Utah's home for you, Springville.
Utah. Yeah, I live in Springville.
Okay, Stephen, what were your thoughts as Dad? You got Grayson all. Was he prone? Was he laid out, ready with the rifle?
I learned a lesson 2 weeks ago with my son. We went on a deer hunt. I was glassing, and I told him just, hey, get prone and shoot this big buck up a hill. And he shot at it. He hit it, but I looked over and he was standing there, and I said, why didn't you get prone? And he told me he didn't know what that meant. And I've realized I need to communicate better with my kids. For Grayson, we spent a lot of time shooting off a tripod, and so we've gotten pretty steady, and we spent some time at the range. He's good to 600-700 yards with that. That rifle will shoot as far as you want as long as you dial right. So my job this time was to range and dial. When we saw that elk at about 1,000, the first time I dialed was 909. And I said, okay. So I told Blake, I got him dialed at 909. He said, no, just wait. I said, okay, I got him dialed at 700. Just wait. I got him dialed at 550, 500, 400. I just kept dialing and holding and ranging and dialing and holding and ranging. And I thought, this thing's going to come all the way. And I think it was Blake said, just wait. He'll come right to us. And I've never had that experience. I've always gone in these seasons where you see it, and as soon as you can get close enough to range it, you shoot it and you're done. And so to have him come bugling and screaming and come all the way to us, I'd never had that experience myself. And so to have Grayson have that experience where they come screaming right to you, I finally just put it at 0 and didn't dial at all and said, just look at him through the scope and shoot. That's how it worked out. I've never had that experience myself. I'm super glad that Grayson was able to see that and hear it, and now he knows. But how many elk did we see the first day, Grayson? Hundreds. That's not an experience you have elk hunting. It was unbelievable to see that many animals. And how many other animals did we see? What else did we see out in the desert? What are they called? Antelope. Did we only see one? Hundreds. Yeah, it's unbelievable. This whole area was just a dream. The amount of game that were here, the guys that were with us, the food. Blake's wife cooks amazing meals. We might have to come back just for dinner. But
yeah, the landscape too. That country is incredible, isn't it?
I set a tripod up in the sand dunes like that. If you would have told me to set that up and they were going to bugle in the sand dunes, I would have thought it was a joke.
Who's pulling this prank on?
Packing an elk out through the sand dunes, that's not as much fun.
Yeah, that's a leg workout, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to get a little traction in the sand, isn't it?
We made sand angels. He laid down and filmed making sand angels.
I just remember my first day when Blake took us out there, and I'm like, I just cannot believe we're going to see elk. You can see as far as the eye can see. There's no way you're going to see elk. And then to see hundreds in a day and more bulls than I've ever seen in my life, it was unreal.
Did you see some feral horses?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah. You guys got a horse problem in Nevada, huh?
That's one way to say it politically correct. It's a problem, but yeah, we're trying to figure out what to do. It's an issue. They're destroying a lot of land for us.
Yeah. At the taxpayers' expense.
Yeah. Then we round them up and ship them to Utah and pay for farmers there to feed them. So make it their problem.
It's crazy, huh? Yeah. I don't want to get down that rabbit hole or on that soapbox because that's a big issue. And it's littered with frustration and irritation. So we'll pass. All right. So you got other fall plans? Marty, you got any other plans for the fall?
Hunting wise, no, just going to live off these memories. And like I said, my plans are to get the rest of my boys, a couple of my boys one of my sons already got his hunter safety. Going to get the other 3 through hunter safety this winter so that we can put in for some hunts next year.
The hunting heritage is important, is it not?
It is.
And that's where it starts, is at home, each of us individually with our own families.
I want to make that connection with my boys, right? I want to see that excitement on their face. It's not about me going and killing something. It's about seeing them and getting them to understand the importance of that and to see the harvest that meat and be able to feed themselves off of what they're harvesting and be sustainable.
Sustainable. That's a great way to describe it. I always wonder about, outside of your own circle where everybody hunts or someone who hunts, but you start talking to people back east or somewhere lives in the city, and it's like, do you know where your food comes from? Yeah, there's a significant disconnect there in my mind that as hunters, we can do a better job to showcase the importance of it, how good it is for your body. I think it's a wonderful protein source. I think it's very important that you don't just know that you bought something wrapped in cellophane at the market and took it home and put it on the grill.
I was watching them pull those tenderloins out, and I was getting hungry.
Yeah, right?
I wanted to bust out a grill right there.
And I think it just tastes better. It's like when you grow your own tomatoes. They're better.
You're right.
Stephen, what about plans for you for the fall?
I've got a couple kids with tags this year. So we've got one boy already tagged out. Now Grayson's tagged out. I've got a daughter with a good deer tag. So as soon as I get home, I'm swapping bags and heading back out. Then I've got a bear next month down in Arizona, and then a Sonora, Mexico mule deer in January.
Oh, man. Tell me about that. How'd that come to be?
Actually,
you just got to write a big check, right?
No, I won that hunt.
You did?
I did. I went down to New Mexico on a mule deer hunt last year, and all the guys with Black Mountain Outfitters that hunt with them got to buy some raffle tickets, and they'll put my name in a bucket, and whoever gets their name out gets to hunt anywhere they have. And so I could pick anywhere in the country about, and I said, I'm going to Sonora and go shoot a mule deer. So Yeah, that's going to be a fun one for me. But the pressure for getting your kids tagged out was different. Like this year has been the first year I've had that, and it's a different level of anxiety for me to say I want my kids to be successful. I want them to see what it looks like, how it feels. And I didn't know how he'd react to seeing that elk on the ground, but I think when we pulled the backstrap out, what'd you say about that backstrap when you saw it? Soft, and it looked what? Delicious, I think was your word. So we did that. He was excited about that. He had Captain America with us the whole hunt. We normally have a guy with us, and so Captain America got a good picture on the antlers for us, and Grayson was excited about it. And so I thought, okay, I checked a box that I didn't think I'd check, and now I'll go get the rest of the kids to check theirs. But man, that pressure for having kids with you, you just want them to do well and have fun.
Stephen, how important is wild game to just the contribution to your family's table fare on an annual basis?
There's always game in our freezer. We've got freezers outside just lined up, and there's always a bunch of different kind of game sitting in it. And we've got now where our friends and those we go to church with will want to try, what does a bison burger taste like? What does an elk burger taste like? What is venison? So we have the chance to do that and have a lot of different things at the house, and it's always fun. And at first it was a little different, but now even my wife will say, I'd rather eat a bison than a cow. And so we're getting to the point, I've got them all converted over, but knowing what you're saying earlier, where it came from and how it got there is a whole different experience, and it means something. And so all of my kids feel that way about it. They'll tell their friends. Grayson, I think, sent that kill shot video to about 10 of his buddies who all had questions about it. Where did it come from? Some wanted to know if it was a moose because they're not familiar. They don't know. Yeah. And he gets to start teaching his buddies what it means and then give them all a bunch of elk jerky here in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, the processing, did you leave the meat up there? They got it done, quick turnaround, you're bringing it home?
Yeah, where's the meat, Gray?
Back of the truck, yeah. Yeah, they had that dialed in. I had heard that if everything goes, it is hunting, but if everything goes according to plan, we're going to shoot it on Wednesday. We're going to take it. They're going to do a rush on the meat process. They can pick it up, drive it home. You got a taxidermy back home, a taxidermist that you use?
Yeah, I got a guy, Coots Taxidermy, down in Las Vegas. He's got a couple of critters of mine right now, and he'll get us all dialed in. But I didn't think there was any way they'd get that meat done that fast. And so
amazing. Huh?
To turn around and have it in the freezer ready to go home is unbelievable. Everything with the whole process was almost a script that got written, because it's the same thing. They said, hey, if we shoot this on Wednesday, we can have it done. And I thought, why are you going to pick the day? Even the way that it got done, Rowdy told me, you know what, we don't need to shoot far. We'll just call them in and we'll shoot them at archery range. And I thought it was a joke. It was funny. And instead we set up, bugled once, and that thing came on a string straight to Grayson's. Yeah, it couldn't have worked out better, the whole trip.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you guys had a wonderful time. I'm glad the weather cooperated with you. I wish you best on your travels home. Gray, I got to ask you though, now that you've checked the box on an elk for your hunting adventures and your young 12 trips around the sun, what's the next hunt that you have your eyes set on? Have you thought about that at all?
No, I'm not a big, no.
No?
Not a big hunter.
So what about, would you like to go on a hunt with your dad? Yeah. What hunt would be a good trip for you to share and experience Dad hunting? A bear hunt?
You want to go on the bear hunt?
Yeah, how cool would that be? This would be your first bear hunt, Stephen?
Oh, great. You want to tell them? No. We've been to Alaska and Washington and New Mexico and Arizona and Utah, and I've seen lots of bears. I only want one bear, and it's got to be the right bear. And I'm picky on the bear. Yeah, I think this might be the last one if I don't get it done, huh?
And you're hunting Arizona, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a buddy down there with some dogs, and we'll go to the res and see if we can get it done there.
What are you looking for? What's a good bear? What's the elusive bear look like for Stephen Albright?
Big? Is that way? I just want one big enough that I only need that one.
Yeah, a certain color, or that don't matter?
I'd like a color phase. I'd like something that's a little flashy on it and a really big head. And I don't know. I've probably seen 20 or 30 I should have shot, but
after the fact.
Now I'm to the point, my wife, I don't even think you care about shooting. You just want to go to these beautiful places outside and sit somewhere and look. And I'm
she figured you out.
She's got it figured out.
All right. Grayson, I do got to ask this. What, besides your firearm, which sounds like it was an amazing weapon and tool to utilize on this particular hunt, favorite piece of gear that you brought with you, or that was a part of your hunt that was pretty important?
Yeah.
The Kuyu jacket that they gave you. What about your own gear? Something that you had prior to coming here?
My hunting pants that I ordered a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Yeah, you got to look the part, right? If you're coming. Uh-oh. Your binoculars? Yeah, that's an important. Although when they come 60 yards to you. Yeah.
Why do you like those binoculars, though?
They have my name written all over it.
Maven gave him a pair of optics with his name on them.
Yeah, how cool is that? Did you go into Lander? Yeah, did you go to the Maven shop?
Yeah, we went and met Brendan and the team down there and said thanks and took a picture in front of the building with his head. And they said they sell lots of optics, but people don't bring the elk back there. And so some of the girls came out and looked at it, and they were pretty excited.
That's cool. Yeah, Brendan and his team, they do a good job. They make great product. They're good people. We're we're glad to be partnered and associated with their line. They're good people, great resource. All right, man. Anything else you want to add, Gray? I'd be happy to. Oh, yeah, you got something on the phone, huh?
I would like to say thank you to Blake and Rowdy and the Muley Fanatic.
Hey, thanks, Gray. That's awesome, man. We appreciate that. I know we hear a lot of people like, hey, thanks. Yeah, no, really, the thanks is to you. Thank you. And be able to vicariously experience and share in these hunting memories with you and your family. And that's more rewarding to us than you could even begin to measure. It's extremely valuable and something that we hold great pride and tremendous regard for making sure that it's done right and that it continues to touch and make an impact to people's lives in a very good and meaningful way. Dad, thank you. Uncle Marty, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm glad you guys had a great time. And yeah, I look forward to our trails crossing again at another time.
Yeah, we'll see you at the banquet. I got to be a lifetime member.
If you'd like to be a lifetime member, we'd love to have you in the fold. We're a little over 600, close to 650 now, but it's an investment. And if you're interested, you do that. You can do it online, but you don't have to be a life member to go to the banquet. But we'd love to have you come to the banquet. That'd be great.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you're not that far away.
No, I'll grab my wife.
Actually, this kind of works out. You're the middle point, aren't you, between where you live? Yeah.
See, it's great. I don't have to drive all the way back to Vegas. I'll get to sleep sooner.
Driving's the fun part when you got an elk head hanging out the back of the truck.
Oh, yeah. Just the googly eyes when people pass you, huh? Especially on I-80. People just wave at them.
Expressions can change though as you move from.
Oh, yeah. The further west you go.
Yeah, guys started touching it at McDonald's, and Grayson said, I don't like them touching my antlers.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't like it either.
Hands off. Hands off. Gray, thanks again. It was very nice to meet you, and I look forward to seeing some more social media stuff on this and some excitement. It'll be cool, and I know you're gonna get a lot of comments when you get back home. A lot of people are gonna want to have you tell a little bit more of the details of the story. And I'm glad that we got to be a part of it with you. So thanks. That's a wrap. Wild things and wild places.
Gathered around the campfire's flickering glow, stories ignited, bridging hearts and minds as the world outside faded and connection reigned supreme. Welcome to Campfire Chats.
Welcome to Campfire Chat. Joining me today, David Wilms. David, this is a little different than some of our other podcast content. We're going to talk about you individually and specifically you. The value of hunting was something that we both cherish individually, but also see as a way of life. But before we get into that, let's start with what you do, who you work for, a little history about yourself, just to set the table of who we're talking to, that we get to introduce the world of wild things and wild places and Campfire Chat to better understand David Wilms.
Sure. I am David Wilms. I live in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I've been a Wyoming guy my whole life, graduated from the University of Wyoming, undergrad in wildlife management, law degree, and then have spent now almost 20 years of my career working on natural resource conservation related issues in one way, shape, or form. First as an attorney for the state, representing both the state engineer's office on water issues and the Wyoming Game and Fish Department on wildlife issues, through the Attorney General's office, and then in private practice, working with landowners and state wildlife agencies and so forth. And then had a great honor of the lifetime to be able to serve Governor Matt Mead as a policy advisor on natural resource issues. And now I'm Associate Vice President for the National Wildlife Federation, where I lead all of our public lands work.
I'm saying a lot of good work there with the National Wildlife Federation. That's a big issue and a big charge of responsibility that you have. Ultimately, all of that comes back to your very strong roots and ties to the state of Wyoming as a native of the cowboy state. But being outside and enjoying those wild places and wild things, that's always something that I would imagine has been very near and dear to keep you here. Because certainly there's other places you could have gone, but you have chosen to stay here. And I would think that outdoor recreation is probably a large part of that.
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons I stay here. And outdoor recreation and the hunting opportunities and the mountains and the open spaces, that's right near the top of the list. And then having just all of those opportunities and just the people and the community. What Governor Sullivan had that old saying of Wyoming's just one small town with really long streets. And it's it feels that way, just connected across the state. And it's just a wonderful place to raise my family. And I just can't, despite the wind, I can't come up with any. That's the only thing that pushes me away sometimes come late March or early April, that 15th straight day of 60-mile-an-hour winds. I'm like, oh, why do I live here? And then I get back outside. Now that's why I live here.
That's why I live here. So how important, David, is not only the hunting heritage to you individually, but now with a family of your own, how important is the responsibility that you see to instill that continues, and it continues in a very productive and positive manner for the years beyond your own living years, knowing it starts with you and the responsibility of sharing it to your own next generation?
Yeah, I feel like and I'm sure you're the same way. I feel like I was given this great honor and obligation at the same time. When I was a kid, when my dad taught me the importance of the outdoors and the importance of what it means to put food on the table for the family and getting out and hunting and that sort of thing, and the importance of conserving these places and this opportunity for our own kids and for the next generation. And frankly, I've spent my whole life working in conservation in one way or another, as I mentioned. And the reason I do that, I always tell people I'm a hunter conservationist. Like, I became a conservationist working in the conservation field because of my hunting roots. But for that, I don't know if my career would have turned out this way.
And where did the instilling of those values associated with hunting? You mentioned your father. It came from your father. You have very early childhood memories. You talk about putting meat on your table, filling the freezer. It wasn't that long ago where that was a necessary staple for one's existence to live here. And it's been replaced. Certainly there are folks that live in Wyoming that don't take to the field, that never hunt or never eat wild game, but it's still a priority at the Wilms home. Is that correct?
It absolutely is. And it predates my own father. My grandfather, he started making money trapping. That's how he made some money as a kid and as a teenager. It was a pelt here or bringing in feet to get some money, that kind of stuff. He was a trapper. In fact, I don't know if you like funny stories on this, but one of my favorite stories about my grandpa. Yeah. One of my favorite stories about my grandpa is he was always looking, as a kid, always looking for ways to get out of church. To get out of going to church, because he just, those hot summer days in an unair conditioned church. And so he was, like I said, he trapped as a kid, and he trapped skunks, and he managed to collect the liquid, the smell, right?
Yeah.
He collected that in a vial, and he'd get into church. And there was one particular day, I guess it was just the sermon was extra tough to take, and he had one in his pocket, and he broke it on the floor. And the whole place cleared out. And my great-grandfather on the way out pulled him aside and said, "I know that was you that did it." And it was don't ever do it again, but I think you did the right thing today. So as we well played, but don't do it again, son.
Yeah.
Moment. Yeah, he grew up as it was important. It was for financial, but also he was one of 12 or 13 kids, and putting food on the table through hunting was that was a way to survive, and that was instilled in my father, and then that was instilled in me, the protein, right? So and now I try and instill that in my own kids.
Yeah. Did you ever get the trapping bug? Did you pick that up? I find that to be fascinating. It's something that's avoided me. I haven't had a lot of exposure to it, but it's certainly something that I would have an interest in at some point down the road, given the opportunity. And I would think maybe something similar for you.
Yeah, I've never done it, but it's always intrigued me. And every time I go back to my dad's house, he's still got my grandpa's traps hanging on the wall in his basement. And so every time I see those, I'm like, man, it's really enticing. Although I don't think my grandpa's traps are legal traps these days.
Yeah, probably.
I think a lot has changed.
Yeah.
I think a lot has changed since he was a kid.
Yeah. So favorite big game animal to hunt every year? Do you have one, or is it all?
I do. It's if it's brown, it's down. If I can get a tag, I want to have the tag. But if I had to, if you asked me if you could only hunt one animal for the rest of your life, what would that be? For me, it's elk. And it always has been.
Yeah. Elk's a great hunt, isn't it?
It's fantastic. And it's so versatile. You can go in September, you can be chasing them with the bow and they're screaming during the rut. And then you get into the middle of October and the weather's variable weather, but you can see them in the high country, the low country, the front country, the back country. And they're just so, I think that's something that's Like, every time I walk up on, whoa, that's a big animal. That's a
big
really
critter,
big
huh?
animal.
That's gonna put a lot of meat in the freezer.
It's exactly right. And it's a family affair. I bring that thing home and it's the whole family processes that together. So it's fun.
Yeah. Does your family have a favorite recipe when Dad's cooking elk?
So it depends on the kid. So I've got one kid who loves stroganoff, and in fact, I made it earlier this week. Like, an elk stroganoff is her favorite. I've got another who, when I smoke an elk roast, like a good smoked elk roast, that's her favorite. And yeah, and then I've got the youngest one of all. It pretty much at this point still needs to be in ground form, so for chewing purposes.
So
Yeah.
a dream hunt that you haven't taken yet? Do you have one of those? And maybe not even limited to Wyoming. Don't let me put a parameter on it. But if you were given the opportunity tomorrow, king for a day, David, make your dream hunt happen, what would that look like?
You know what? It's one that I know can never happen. So there might be a double answer for you, because I have one that I do that could happen, one that couldn't. I told you about my grandpa. I think my dream hunt would have been an elk hunt with him. Never had that opportunity. I was too young when he passed away, and he never killed an elk in his life. He hunted elk a lot, but if you remember the way he was born in 1904, and so if you really think back to when he was young, there weren't a lot of elk around then. We're in this golden age of elk. They've made this unbelievable recovery, and we think about elk being all over the place. But when he was younger, and even through his more formidable years, there weren't a lot of elk around. So when they were finally able to hunt elk and he was able to get a tag, it was pretty rare to see one. And it was something I know he was always interested in and always wanted to get an elk. It never did. And he has giant mule deer, and he's a big hunter, lots of birds, but he never killed an elk. And so the dream hunt would be going back in time and being able to go on an elk hunt with him and actually see him be able to kill an elk, get that elusive elk he always wanted.
Yeah, help him pack it out. Yeah.
No, I'd watch him pack it out.
All right, so the one that you can make happen, what would that be?
The one that, this is probably a common one for a lot of people, but a moose hunt in the Brooks Range of Alaska, that's my dream hunt. Like, I'd love to just get dropped off for about 2 weeks and hunt moose in Alaska.
Yeah, we share the same hunt. I think the only thing that would make that even more magical for me would be to maybe share that experience with my daughter. She could have the tag long as I could go along. If she said, no, Dad, you have the tag, long as she could come along. I think that would be incredible. And probably for the same motivating reasons that you would have, I would think that to be able to be in a landscape like that is so wild and untamed, and the adventure of, as your buddy Nephi said, you're not even the top predator on the landscape. You're just there. You're not even at the top. I think that's an element that just adds to this aura of excitement and adventure that makes a trek like that just be so desirable for this someday. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. I'm with you. Someday. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe I'll live vicariously through you when you end up doing that.
If you have the opportunity, seize it, because I don't know that I'll get it. But same thing. If there was a dream hunt, that would be it. Greatest piece of gear in the exposure to hunting and the activity of the recreational taking to the field every fall. Gear has changed a lot, and it seems to me like it's been expedited in just the last decade. Gear is like your cell phone. What's good today is obsolete in a week, and then there's something better out. But is there a piece of gear where you have made the investment of the financial necessity to upgrade something that was just of great value that you hold above all? And your wife may or may not have hear this.
I'm laughing a little bit because I'm like the most non-gear guy you might ever come across.
Really?
No gear. I've never been a gearhead. I joke, you mentioned Nephi, he and I joke a lot about how my rain gear for years and years was just a trash bag with a hole cut in the top.
Okay, you are that guy.
And my pack was my law school computer bag. That's what I used, and I'd just take bungee cords and stuff and strap quarters to that, it was a computer bag. It had no rigidity to it at all. The worst possible thing. So I guess, yeah, and I was wearing cotton socks and cotton pants and big either jeans or just Carhartts or something. And right down to my rifle, I won my rifle in a raffle and had a shoulder strap on it and it'd break, and I fix it with zip ties, and then it would get too cold and the zip ties would break. And I finally found out that baling wire holds on pretty well, and that's still what I use to hold my shoulder strap on. I've not been a gear guy, but one thing, and I'll give him credit for this, one thing I did upgrade. Well, I've upgraded two things, I think, in my life from a hunting standpoint. One was socks, and that sounds weird. Maybe that sounds weird. But I think the most important thing you can take care of, especially when you're hunting in the backcountry and putting a lot of miles on, is your feet. And in a lot of ways, I think socks can be more important than the boot. And so I invested in really good socks instead of the Hanes cotton socks I wore for years. I invested in some really good socks.
Yeah. What are those socks, David? What ones have you invested? Just like
I've
a
invested
merino
in the
wool.
Okay. It's a merino wool, Darn Tough, and I know Darn Tough. They make there's 3 or 4 different brands that are the same, but just a good, durable sock that doesn't slip on you, doesn't slide. The blistering goes away. They dry fast. All the things you want for your feet. So that's been important to me. And then I upgraded my pack. So I actually have I've got a pack. It's a Kuiu. Yeah, it's a legitimate. It was carbon frame, legitimate pack. I upgraded that, and I have no regrets on that. It turns out that's a game changer when you're hauling quarters of elk or moose or anything out of the backcountry. Having something that really gets that weight on your hips rather than on your shoulders and upper back and everything. It's distributing that weight and getting it dialed in there. That pack has been a game changer for me. So that was a great gear investment.
Yeah, that truly is the epitome of work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I always took pride in having no gear whatsoever, being the cheapest.
It was almost
guy
a badge of
mountain,
honor, I would imagine, for you, huh? Everybody else is, David, you're so wonky in this. No,
I still show up to things, and the first thing friends ask me when I show up to anything, they look at me and say, "All right, tell us of everything that you've got on. What did you actually pay for?" Because everything I wear, free T-shirts and free everything. What'd you pay for? And I run through it. I'm like,
not
probably
much.
Nothing.
Do you have a favorite pocket knife? That seems to be something that can be littered in tradition and story. Do you carry a pocket knife that has family value or history, or is it just the latest pocket knife you just found in the top of the dresser drawer and that's what you took?
That's a great question, and it's circumstance specific. I have a handful of different knives that I use. As far as the favorite knife that I take into the field with me, I love those Havalon exchangeable blades, because I'm boning them out, breaking it down, and I don't like to have to resharpen all the time and all that sort of stuff. I love the lightweight aspect of it. But I got a couple of pocket knives that actually mean a lot to me. I've got this fold-out gentleman's knife. I can't even remember the brand on it, but it was a gift that a friend of mine gave me for standing in his wedding years ago, and I love that knife. And then I've got a knife that my dad gave to me that I believe, I need to actually ask this because I might be wrong about this, but I believe that my grandfather made and gave to him, and then he gave it to me. But I might be wrong. He might have just bought a real cheap knife, and it looked like it was.
But it came from Dad, so it has extra. Isn't it funny how things that came from Dad just have extra meaning?
I have a vest. I have this orange vest, my fluorescent orange vest.
Yeah.
I've had the same vest. I've worn it since I was 14 years old. He bought it for me my first year, because back when I started, same with you, right?
Yeah.
Big game,
14
you had to be 14.
Yeah.
When I was 14, he bought this thing for me. I've worn it ever since. The zipper doesn't work. It blows in the wind. So I have my pack holding it so it doesn't blow. I think I know my dad, he's as cheap as I am. He probably bought the thing from Walmart or something. But actually, you're probably right. I don't think we had a Walmart yet. I think we had a Kmart.
That's what we had too. Yeah.
So,
it was like, I remember when Walmart came to town, but yeah, Kmart, yeah. Blue light special.
Yeah, I do. I remember that too. We had 2 Kmarts, if you can believe that.
Oh man, that was big city stuff there. You had 2?
That's Cheyenne for you, right? We're the metropolitan area.
Yes,
we're huge.
Oh, that's funny. Plans for this fall, David? We're in the midst of fall now. Have you already had some outings already? Or you still have some to look forward to? Where are you at?
As of today, all I've done is some dove hunting. I have not gotten out and done much besides that. I've got 2 elk tags in my pocket. I did not do deer or pronghorn this year. No deer or antelope tags for me, mainly because the places I like to hunt had horrible winter kill, and it didn't feel right to try and hunt there.
I've heard a lot of people say that in certain places. This is the first time I've never put in for pronghorn, and we love to eat pronghorn, but we like to hunt pronghorn here at the house, and they were decimated this winter, and for the same reason, it just didn't feel right. Congrats on the 2 elk tags. I hope you can bring that to fruition, because that's a lot of meat. And boy, if you want to do something for mule deer, take out some of the elk.
I'm working on it. I'm going to do one other thing for mule deer too. Last year I really got into mountain lion hunting.
Did you buy dogs?
I'm looking. No, it's like a boat. Like I've got a friend with dogs.
You don't want to own the boat. You just want a friend with a boat. Same with mountain lion.
That's exactly right.
That's so true.
I got super excited about that. And then I've got a goose lease place I've been hunting since I was a kid, and so I'll do a lot of goose hunting as well. So I'm looking at my season's probably mostly elk, goose, and a mountain lion, maybe fall turkey. We'll see, but that's pretty much how it's lined up. Not a lot this year. A lot, not nearly as much as in past years, but that gives me a reason to go out more frequently on that cat hunt, and maybe spend a little more time on my elk hunt too.
Yeah, will this be your first cat harvest?
Yes, got into it last year. We treed a couple, but didn't harvest one. And so if I'm fortunate, this will be my first one this year. Yeah.
Do you plan on consuming some of it? I've heard cat backstrap is amazing.
I plan on consuming all of it.
Okay, there you go.
And then my daughter already has a place picked out in her room where she wants the mount to go.
Of course.
I was saying if I got it, I'd maybe just skin it out and rug it. And she wants like a full body mount on her wall next to her bed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in a sneak, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
Great stuff. David, I'm glad to visit with you and just talk about hunting and something that is of certain value to you and your family, but has also been traditional and generational, that's been shared with the Wilms family for years now. And I'm glad that you continue to be an ambassador to carry that torch, not only for your own interest, but to share that with your own children, and to continue the tradition that is certainly a way of life, but also needs responsible ambassadors to promote it and to continue to have it thrive and survive. So thank you for that. I appreciate your time, just taking a few minutes to talk about hunting and the value that it has for you and your family.
I appreciate the opportunity. I love talking hunting. Yeah. It's a big part of our lives. It's great. Appreciate the time.
Yeah. David Wilms, if you like, hit the subscribe button. A new episode every Tuesday. Campfire Chat, a sub show to Wild Things and Wild Places. Today's guest, David Wilms from Cheyenne, Wyoming. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I. David, happy trails, my friend.
Thank you very much.
And that wraps up another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Make sure you never miss out by subscribing. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, streaming us on our website, or following us on social media, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more wild episodes.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley Fanatic.